Please.
Don St. Hilare,
And where do you live, Don?
125 Main Street, Hoosick Falls.
Did you live in Hoosick Falls all your life, or?
All my life.
I see. So you were born here also.
Right.
All right. Would you tell us a little before you went about your life before you went into the service?
Well, before I went into service, I worked for the Grain Union Company and played a lot of sports. That was basically it.
I see. And were you married when you went into service, or?
No.
No. Okay. So you. All right. Tell us a little about getting into service. What happened? Some of the stories about going into service. You would talk to me about trying to enlist and so forth.
Well, right at that time, it was not too many jobs around, so a bunch of us went down to join the Navy. I think there was 6 of us, and I was the biggest of the 6, and everyone passed the physical except me. And the reason why I didn't pass, because I had just fell out of a barn and hit my back, and I had a big bump on my back. It was only temporary, it went away, but still they wouldn't take me. The rest of the guys went in the Navy, and I had to stay.
And when was this? What year was that?
Oh, 1949.
Oh, 40. That's before the Korean War started. Yeah, I see. All right, so you came back and kept working at the Grain Union,
Kept
is that
working at
it?
the Grain Union.
All
The
right,
rest of
and
the
then-
guys went into service.
And then August in 1950, the Korean War broke out, and then what happened?
I went in, was drafted in, I think it was January 51. Yeah, I think it was,
All right.
maybe it was 50. It was 50.
Well, it couldn't have been, because it was August 50 the war broke out,
Yeah,
so it had to
it
be
was
51.
51.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
And what happened after that? I mean, where'd you go and what
Well,
happened?
then I went to, from Fort Devon to the induction, and then to Camp Breckenridge, Kentucky, which was closed up at the end of World War II, but they opened it up for the Korean War, and we had to go in the barracks and chase out the chickens and clean up the barracks and use it as an army camp, which was part of the 101st Airborne. So they looked at me and they said, well, you're over 6 foot, you can't be in the airborne anyway, but you go through the training. So I went through the airborne training, but the rest of the guys went for further training, what they sent me to Korea.
I see. And in what capacity? What did they send you as? In the infantry, or?
In the infantry. I was
see.
a rifleman, but I carried a BAR, Browning automatic rifle.
I see.
And we went by troop ship from Seattle, Washington to, I think it was Yokohama. And then from there to Korea, I went in at Incheon, which is near, so I wasn't in on the first day, but we went in later. I can always remember we still had to get out in the water, and I was all wet for days because you had the boats, the LSD boats, I guess, you had to get off there, and you got all wet getting in there, although we didn't see any action right there. But then we were put on trucks and taken to the middle of, I think it was around probably the central part of Korea. And that's where we were assigned. This was in November. And I was there in November, December, January, February. Then I got hit on March 2nd, 2 days before I was supposed to go on R&R.
I see. You got hit, wounded?
Yes.
I see. And what they do, send you back to a hospital, or they were able to?
No, they from there, I went to hospital in Seoul, Korea for a little while, just maybe a couple days, and then from there to Tokyo Army Hospital. Was there about a month, and then from there to Walter Reed in Washington, Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
I see. So you were wounded and they sent you home. You were wounded seriously enough they couldn't patch you up and put you back in.
No, no, took me 10 months to heal.
10 months to heal.
Yeah.
I see. All right. So that do you have anything else to say about Korea? I mean, that was it. I
Well, the
understand.
biggest thing I remember about Korea, we when I got there, we didn't have. They had just finished some bad fighting, and they were undermanned. So we had like half a company, and it seemed like we didn't get any sleep, and we were always cold because of the weather there.
Yeah.
You're sleeping in foxholes, and you're going out on patrol, and you got snow. This is during the winter. It was snowing, it was cold, and anybody says that Korea and Vietnam, there's no comparison as far as the weather goes.
Yeah.
But
So you had to do a lot of patrol because you were half man, so that meant the fellas had to do double duty or a lot more
yeah,
duty.
and anytime you weren't on patrol or guard duty, you were trying to keep warm.
I see.
Because there's a lot of people, a lot of guys had frostbite over there.
I see. All right, so you got wounded in battle, you came home, you were in, I understand you got the Purple Heart, somebody told me, is that true, or?
Well, anyone that gets wounded gets
I
the
see, is
Purple
that,
Heart.
I don't know, because,
And I got a bronze star, which was, I don't know why, but they awarded me a Bronze Star too, probably because when I got wounded, they had sent me out in probably 100 yards out beyond the rest of the line. And me and 3 other guys to establish a bunker out there so we could have a better overlook of the valley. And probably because I was there, they did award me a Bronze Star because the other guys that went out with me, they got one too.
I see. Well, you did something above and beyond what the regular troops were doing at the time. Okay, so here you're back in Walter Reed, and it took you 10 months to get over your wounds.
Yeah, and then it was mainly because it was a radial nerve injury, which unless it comes back, you don't have use of your arm. I had shrapnel wounds in my leg, and that healed fine, no problem. In my finger, that didn't heal that great, but it did get better. And in my shoulder, the one in my shoulder cut a radial nerve, which meant that you didn't have full use of your right arm, where I got hit in the right shoulder. Didn't have use of my right arm. That's why it was such an extended period of time.
To get
They
back.
had to do a lot of PT, physical therapy, until the arm came back. And luckily there was good doctors there, and it did come back. Other than that, I would have been left with a hanging arm.
I see. But, I mean, you look fine, I mean, as far as your arm goes down.
Yeah, no, it just...
So good, they got it
took a long
fixed
time.
up for you, and then you
Right.
came home, what happened at Walter Reed after you got better? I mean, after you got used to your arm, and did they discharge you at that
They
time?
discharged me, and I went back to work for Grand Union.
I see, and then you came back, you got married?
Got married, probably, 54?
I
Yeah.
see, and you've
Had
had,
4 children. 2 of them live here, 2 of them live out of town.
I see. And you worked in the Grand Union for years, and then
Counting the years I was in the service, which counts,
Yeah.
47 years.
you worked 47 years
Yeah.
for the Grand Union. Wow, that's a long tour. And then you retired from the Grand Union,
Right.
and you live here in town. Is there anything you want to tell us about the town? We got, or anything, that's
Well,
happened in the town?
Yeah, the town is, I like it, and I lived here all my life, of course, and it's a lot of good things about the village of Hoosick Falls, and there's different things that go on. I don't think gets enough publicity, like the band concert in the summer, and you have ice skating, and you have a good swimming pool, and a good school system. And it's convenient to the capital district It's convenient to places in Massachusetts. It's convenient to Vermont. It's convenient to Saratoga. It's convenient to Lake George. And you're not very far from the shore if you want to go to Maine or Cape Cod. It's all within a reasonable driving distance.
So I agree. I mean, I happen to agree with you that it's a great location. Great location. Well, Don, I thank you for coming in, and I thank you for telling us the story.
Yeah,
And
the biggest thing I remember about Korea
yeah,
is the cold. We had some fighting there, but I more than the fighting, I remember how cold it was and how many hills there were there. There were hills with no trees because they cut down all the trees. If they got 3 feet tall, they cut them down to use for firewood.
so that
But
was,
it was one cold winter.
yeah, but it must have been hard to do battle there too. I mean, with all the trees down and just empty hills.
It was, yeah. You had to be in a foxhole or in a bunker, and that was. I never got any relief because we were short-handed.
I see.
In other words, you couldn't go back, be on the line for a month and go back for a week the way they do today. You stayed right there because you just didn't have enough people.
I see. And how long were you on that front line? I mean, what period of time did they keep you up there in the central part of Korea? About how long was that you didn't get a relief? You know, until you got wounded.
4 months.
For 4 months you were there.
4 months. I was supposed to go on relief in 2 more days, but
I
that
see.
didn't last those 2 days.
I see. Well, thanks a lot, Don. Great story. Thank you. We're going back on tape because Don and I were talking, and Don remembered an interesting thing which we felt should be on tape. Would you go ahead and tell us that story about being in Tokyo there?
Yes, well, I was in the Tokyo Army Medical Center hospital recuperating. I had 2 visitors. Wilbur Leonard came, and he is from Hoosick Falls, and he came and brought me a little bit of fruit, and we had a nice visit. And Jimmy O'Neill came in, and we had a good visit, and I gave him a little bit of money to go get a bottle of wine so we could have a little party. And he went out, but I never saw him again.
Did you ever ask him about it when you saw him back home, or?
I did, but he was on his way to Korea. He got called, and he went over there, and he was back in the hospital and out of the Army before I was.
But he got wounded,
He
Jimmy?
got wounded too.
Yeah. Is he's deceased now, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
About a year ago.
Yeah. Is there anybody else you met while you were in?
Well, I was in Tokyo, that's all, but when I was in Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, several guys came, Chuck Fabiano and Gene Slavin. In fact, I had Gene Slavin, who was in the Navy, stay overnight at Walter Reed Hospital. We took his Navy uniform, and I gave him some skivvies to wear around the hospital, and he went to chow line with us just as if he was in the Army instead of the Navy.
That's
Walter Reed is an Army hospital.
I see.
And what he did, we had good visits. Doug Vandecar, he came to see me. Let's see, quite a few.
Fellas from Hoosick Falls.
Yeah.
They knew you down there, and they were stationed there, so they came to visit you.
They were in the area. Like
Yeah.
Chuck was at Annapolis, and Doug Vandecar was in, I think it was Landover, Maryland.
That's great.
And even Amelia Bentner, she was in the service.
I see. And she was nursing.
Whitey Bentner's
Whitey Bentner's.
sister, she was in the service. She came to see me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was
A lot of people came, and that was, I bet it was a welcome sight for you.
It was. It broke up the daily thing of doing nothing in the hospital, and
Yeah, right.
it all makes the time go by quicker. I will say, too, that the Red Cross did a great job while I was in the hospital. They took us on different tours. I saw many football games, baseball games. I went to see all kinds of tours of Washington. whether it was the Smithsonian or the different monuments or Arlington or wherever. It was all
Yeah.
done through the Red
Red
Cross.
Cross. How long were you in Walter Reed? Did you say 10 months, did you say? Or
Well, 10, 11 months, yeah.
10, 11 months, so
Yeah.
that's quite a while to
Yeah.
be in almost a year.
That was a great place.
Yeah. Well, that's where they send the president for physicals and everything. It's got to be a pretty good place.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
Well, thanks again for that, adding that story.